Hello everyone, today we are going to review the Hitman's Bodyguard, starring Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson. I'm just going to pull up the names here. So this movie starts out with Ryan Reynolds' character, Michael, basically moving this arms dealer, I believe out of the... Was he in the States to start? I can't remember whether he's moving him out of the States or not. Anyway, he's moving him from location, or getting him out of whatever country they were in the beginning of the movie. And then, as soon as this guy gets on the plane, he says to him, or says to the guys behind him, remember, our motto, boring is best, so that they don't draw a lot of attention to themselves. And then the guy that he was supposed to be protecting gets assassinated. So he basically goes from a AAA bodyguard to like the lowest of low of the people he could possibly take care of. Then it goes to years later. Sorry, I'm getting a message. I was just laughing at. It goes to years later. I don't know whether it must have been a couple years later, or at least a few months down the road. Anyhow, I don't really know I can't remember the exact timeline, but that's not really. It doesn't really matter anyway, I suppose. But anyway, so down the road, we go to this man named Darius Kincaid, who's a prisoner. He used to be a hitman. He's now getting transported from place to place. And obviously there's people in the way that don't want him transported, including Vladislav Dukovich, who's a Russian, who obviously wants to stop Kincaid from giving any personal information out to him in the courts, I do believe, because I guess Kincaid is their last resort as to how they can put Dukovich away. So they say that if he gives the information, they'll let his wife go free. And obviously the mission goes sideways to get him to, was it the name of the courthouse they were trying to go to? The Hague or I can't remember. Why can't I remember that now? Anyway, so obviously the mission goes sideways. The crew that was meant to protect him in the beginning ends up dying, except for one agent, Amelia Roussel. She lives, and they are able to get away to the safe house. So Amelia phones Michael, and I guess they used to date. So Michael gets called in for this job. He finds out that it's Kincaid, and apparently they know each other too. They've been fighting back and forth for I don't know how many months now, or how many. It seems like it's kind of set up to be like years apart. And Kincaid obviously has tried to kill Michael, and Michael has obviously returned the favor to him, I guess, in some sort of way. And they end up getting in a fight in this safe house. And then Amelia leaves, so now Michael is protecting Kincaid throughout this entire movie. And oh my god, it's just hilarious between the two of them, how every plan that Michael sets in place just goes completely by the wayside of Kincaid, because he completely ruins every plan and tries to do things for himself. He seems to be like the unkillable person, but just the interactions between the two of them, especially the one scene where just after Kincaid has said that he was the one that assassinated the target at the beginning of the movie that Michael was trying to protect, and he thought it was Amelia who ruined his career by giving up the name, so he's been blaming the wrong person the entire time, when it was actually Kincaid that ended up killing this arms dealer. And I guess he made double the money off of killing him instead of the target he was actually supposed to be going after, because he spotted this arms dealer first before the other target. So he ended up getting a bigger payday, And obviously, Michael ended up losing basically everything that he had in his line of work. So now he's slowly kind of falling back in love with Amelia, and he does end up telling her that he does love her. But the one scene right after Kincaid does tell Michael that, he's just sitting there and talking to this bartender, saying that he hopes that they kill him. But then he does end up going and obviously protecting Kincaid in the end anyway. And they end up kind of becoming this weird mixed match pair of friends in a roundabout way, I guess, even though one's a criminal and one's sworn to protect anybody who he comes in contact with. But yeah, this movie was absolutely hilarious. It definitely showed that Samuel L. Jackson was able to play basically himself under a different name because, yeah, he was just free to be the character that he was meant to be in this movie. Kind of reminded me of like Shaft or something along those lines, of where he can just freely say whatever he wants, because this movie was rated R, obviously. And yeah, the comedic duo of Samuel L. Jackson and Ryan Reynolds need to get together more often. Maybe Nick Fury can be in a Deadpool movie. I mean, maybe not, because they're trying to keep the rest of the Marvel universe, I guess, more the PG rating as opposed to Deadpool, which is rated R. So I guess we'll see. It is possible to do like a crossover, I suppose. But I guess maybe that won't be for a little while down the road. I guess we'll see how many more Deadpool movies there are before I get too ahead of myself. But anyhow, would like to see these guys work together again in something else. But I wanted to touch on one of the stories that Kincaid tells Michael about a pastor who died in his church. And so he went and killed the guy that did it, because obviously he didn't want to wait for that guy to just die off or get away. There was more to the story, but I don't want to ruin the whole thing entirely. Anyway, we find out at the end of the movie, when he's in the court talking about Djokovic, that his real last name was Evans, so his name is Darius Evans, and his father was the pastor that was killed. I don't know if I mentioned that already, I might have. But anyhow, yeah, that's what we find out. So it turns out that even though Darius might be a hitman, he's not the worst person in the world, and he does end up killing Kincaid for shooting Michael at the end of the movie, because Michael jumps in front of Kincaid to stop the bullet that would have definitely killed him. And I guess because Kincaid held up his end of the bargain, his wife was able to go free. And then at the end of the movie, it shows Kincaid and his wife together, and there's this big, huge bar fight happening all around them. And I guess he had broken out of prison to go see her on their anniversary. So, you know, it kind of left like a cliffhanger ending for a second one, I suppose. But I guess we'll see if that ever happens, because it's been 4 years now, Jesus, since this movie came out, because this came out in 2017. So, yeah, I do remember going to see this one in theaters, and it was just as funny as the first time. Especially the scene where Samuel L. Jackson, where Kincaid has the phone, and Michael's driving all around the country to try and throw the Russians off of their track. And they track Kincaid through the phone, and then both cars blow up, so they end up having to walk to where they're going. Yeah, it was just, all of the exchanges were funny, and the action scenes in this movie were absolutely phenomenal. It kind of reminded me a little bit of The Kingsman, some of the scenes, just the way they were shot. If you've ever seen The Kingsman, you kind of get what I'm saying with that. It was very I think a lot of the action scenes were one-shot scenes, so the camera never actually stops moving during that scene or cutting. It's just all one take. So that was kind of a cool concept, or at least that's the way it looked in some of the scenes. I'm not sure if they were all shot that way, but some of them definitely were. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this film. I think I've covered everything I wanted to, except for my rating, which is 10 out of 10 on this film. Comedy, action, is always a good mix. Well, I shouldn't say always a good mix, but with the right group of people, it makes for a good movie. And I don't know whether his wife was played by, was it Penelope Cruz? Geez, where is she? She should be in this cast list somewhere. Oh, Salma Hayek. I always get them two mixed up sometimes. I guess a lot of people do, so I'm not the only one. But yeah, his wife was played by Salma Hayek, and she did a great job in this movie as well. I know she spent most of her scenes in one spot because she was in a jail cell the entire time, but yeah, she did play her part really well, and it was funny to see her kind of take on some of the same lines as Samuel L. Jackson, obviously, because it looked like she was kind of uncomfortable saying some of those lines, but yeah, so it just added to the character a little bit because she seemed uncomfortable doing it. But anyhow, she still did a phenomenal job in the part that she was supposed to play in this movie, obviously his wife. So kudos to her on that one as well. And yeah, please like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts on this film if you've seen it. I'm pretty sure this one is one of the more popular ones probably over the last few years, so I'm sure probably quite a few of you have seen it. If you haven't, though, please go watch this movie if you're a fan of Ryan Reynolds, Samuel L. Jackson, and Gary Oldman was the one who played Dukovich. And didn't he pass away? Or am I incorrect on that? Let me just double check that. Oh no, okay, he didn't. For some reason I don't know. Maybe I must be getting him mixed up with somebody else. Weird. Okay, anyway. Yeah. Huh. For some reason, maybe that was one of those things on Facebook where you just see it and people share it because they think it's true and they don't actually do the research. But I guess he hasn't. I don't know who I'm getting him mixed up with, but anyhow, that's all I have to say about this movie, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye for now.